Sup, it is time to finish these things finally. 3 fucking years later. I was very proud of the Racing Aces episode. It felt like I'd finally gotten the formula right. It was a little late though, and I soon became disappointed by how low the view count was compared to earlier episodes. By this point, it had been 2 long years since the last episode, and 4 since the height of Boar's parodies. But I still thought, ever ambitious, that maybe I can do better than that. My goal was to make the ultimate parody and center it around something big and relevant, rather than my usual something old and obscure. I spent several days working on the script because I wanted to make something really big and epic, something that'd feel like it was worth watching and really substantial. You know, for a small, dinky parody. It was definitely the longest script I ever wrote, and it's more or less the longest video if you don't count that ridiculous 10-minute original Magic School Bus episode. This opening sequence I devised because after the last episode I moved house and the old small TV in that episode was thrown out. Despite being violently against story arcs and reviews, I suddenly cared a hell of a lot about mine and wanted to smooth over the continuity problem. Yeah, the prop TV was causing issues for me. I got this one and wrote this idea of the Irat gamer just finding one on a street corner. I've always found it kind of funny when stuff just shows up on the sidewalk. You never know why it's there or what happens to it in the end, so I just thought, well, here a guy takes it. He just takes it and now it's his. It marks the first time I ever got someone to help me film an Irat gamer. It was very hard to explain to another human being, yeah, try not to get my face in the shot, like at all. And it was even harder to get anything that actually looked right. This running away shot was the hardest, mostly because... but also because it's nearly impossible to film someone running into the distance and not include their head. I parody the contests that Boars always used to do, maybe he still does them, where he gets everyone to spam pick me in the comments. This used to be a thing that a lot of people did because YouTube used to give out these like number 5 most commented this month awards. So people would try and rack up the views and comments and subscriptions from this one video so that to climb up these rankings basically. Now I honestly couldn't say if that's what Boars was going for. Maybe he was just trying to do something nice for his fans, but the sheer amount of people in his comments going like, oh, pick me please, I love your show and everything you do, was enough for me to just think, okay, fuck this, I'm parodying it. Lo and behold, most of the comments on this video are my little pick me parody passage, but I take that as pretty flattering because presumably it means that a lot of people got the joke. Here's a really obscure reference for fans of Retsupre. The sound that plays when I get hit with the box is the sound that Ted Hartrip makes when he lands on the mattress truck. And it was used a bunch of other times in Ambition as well. I always found that really funny that Michael Gibson would just recycle all these assets throughout the whole series. So I thought, why the hell not? I'll do it too. I'll recycle one of his assets. Very obscure, and I went all out and like decompiled the flash file to get it too. So a lot of effort for not like a great well-known reference, but hey, shout out to anyone who recognized it. Speaking of recognizing, another obscure-ass reference is the letter I get. I think TP Cool was the only person, definitely the only person who said they got it. For those of you who don't know, Proton John had been part of this scandal where a guy named Yanama had posted somewhere that he was basically just about to die from leukemia, and that his only regret, naturally, was that his ROM hack never got Let's Played. Somehow this made it up the ranks, and next minute Proton John is Let's Playing his ROM hack. Only finding out towards the very end that Yanama had lied about the whole thing, a lot of controversy, you know, as far as internet nobodies go, and I pretty much recreated the whole situation here. I think I basically even copied Yanama's post verbatim, except I changed it to explosive diarrhea because, haha, diarrhea. I don't think I was going anywhere with it other than to make fun of what happened and to show this character really not giving a fuck because he plays all this happy music and ridiculously says, I hope your terminal illness gets better soon, which I still think is pretty funny actually. And also, just to really give me a reason to review Halo 5, which didn't even exist yet, I think the intention was that it was someone actively trolling him, and Yanama wasn't actively trolling Proton John. But it doesn't really matter because, as you can see, the Irat gamer steals his footage, and as a matter of fact, this was the first time that I stole footage for an Irat gamer. I'd always gotten it myself. It seems like such an obvious thing to do now to just steal the footage, because it would be so in line with a character like that. But I think the thing is that when I started, the obvious thing to do was to record game footage of yourself just fucking up extraordinarily and to base your whole parody around that. But I ended up choosing around this point to take a cue from the Save State Gamer, who said in his commentary he liked using stolen footage because it'd highlight the laziness of the character, and also because it would force him to write better jokes than, oh, how do I jump? What a shitload of fuck. And I heard that and I just thought, yeah, actually, I should be forcing myself to be more original if I'm gonna, try and keep doing this. So I ended up going all the way to the other extreme and using only footage of what I think was a world record speedrun at the time. Just tremendously skilled gameplay that nobody would be able to do just picking up the game. And I just riff on that instead with this perspective of, I have absolutely no awareness of the game at all. There's also a recurring joke I have where the Irate Gamer says twice, I think, that just watching this is making him hungry. I think that was a Boar's line at some point. I actually don't remember. If it's not, I honestly couldn't say where I got it from. But the point, and I admit it wasn't very clear, not as clear as I wanted, was that the Irate Gamer would just get hungry seeing anything. He'd be thinking disfigured repulsive monsters and it'd just make him hungry. For no other reason than he'd just be feeling hungry all the time. The toast in the VCR, I actually wanted it to look way worse than it did. It actually still looks kind of edible. I wanted it to look just completely rancid. It was perfectly good toast that I ran underwater and I smashed it into the ground outside a few times, but it still really doesn't look that bad. I think if it was old and hard, it would have been better, but I didn't want to have to hold on to it for days and then, come back to filming later, so I just did it with what I had. A lot of the usual around this point in the Irate Gamer chronology, criticizing of other reviewers who insert game characters into their review. I've talked about that before in these commentaries, and in this video it definitely speaks for itself. Like, literally, there's a whole minute dedicated to dialogue that spells out exactly what my thoughts are. Really, I think this episode turned out pretty well. In retrospect, it is a little slow. I think the Racing Aces video might have been funnier and punchier. But this one makes more of a point. It's like the Empire Strikes Back of these three episodes, the Racing Aces, Halo 5, and Kingdom Hearts 1. And feels like a very complete video. I think it really does feel like it's substantial and satisfying. Anyway, 2 more to go. You're ready to dive in?